Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatharini Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna and welcome you all to the level 2 classes from ISKCON Mangaluru. So last week we completed chapter 13, isn't it? So this today we'll be touching chapter 4, okay, chapter 14, and the chapter 14's name is entitled as the three modes of material nature. So the whole chapter is how we are entangled with the three modes of material nature, right? So the conditioned soul, right? So the moment we hear the conditioned soul, right, she is in either of these three modes, okay? So he is actually getting pulled in one of the other ropes. Okay, so he's dancing, right? So this picture we saw in earlier chapters also, isn't it? In 7th chapter. So yeah, we'll have darshan first of Radha Govinda, and then we'll go. So these were the 6 questions, isn't it? So which Arjuna asked about what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Gnayam, isn't it? So we touch based everything, isn't it? Kshetra, Kshetrajna, right? Jnanam and Gnayam. So last class we touch based Jnanam, Gnayam, right? And Prakriti and Purusha. Excuse me. So, and this, the important thing is we should know what is the knowledge. So, knowledge of knowing what is soul and super soul, isn't it? So, and then we know what is Kshetra, what is Kshetrajna, yeah. And so he answers all these questions, isn't it? And then see the Jnana Chakshu also we saw, isn't it? The vision of the knowledge. So now we'll go jump into chapter 14. Okay, so this is about the modes. Okay, first in this verse, right, 14.1 to 14.4, we'll see the liberation and conditioning of the living entity. Then description of binding of the pure soul by the three modes, okay, recognizing the supremacy, a mode within a person, okay, and actions and death within the modes, and transcendenting the modes. Again, here again, you will see that Arjuna actually repeats a similar question which he had asked in chapter 2. Okay, so that's something similar to the Sthita Prajna question, right? How does he eat? How does he sit? How does he walk? So you'll have similar question, but not the same one. Okay. So he'll ask, and then we'll see that how the Lord actually replies back. Okay. So, and then why this chapter, isn't it? So this actually, this particular chapter will enlighten Arjuna further. Okay. So the Lord will actually start this chapter. Okay. So this chapter, unlike other chapters, right? Here, the Lord Himself will give this wisdom. He'll say that knowing this, many of the sages have attained the perfection. Okay. So that's the reason the Lord Himself will start this, and then He'll describe. Okay. if basically here, right, if one understands this chapter philosophically, right, so then he'll come to the understanding of devotional service. Okay. So this is basically in this chapter, right? This will actually give us the association with the three modes of nature. Okay. And then how we are actually entangled in this material world. Right? And so basically we'll see how they act and how they give liberation. Okay. So the whole chapter is that, so we'll go through. Okay. We'll see that what Krishna says in, yeah. Shri Bhagavan Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Jnanam Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam Yajnatva Munaye Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. So here he says that Jnananam, of all knowledge. Okay. And then this is Uttamam, the supreme. Okay. And then knowing this, right? The sages. So Munaya he says, right? Sarva. Okay. Say they attend the supreme. The supreme personality of God had said, again I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Okay. This is how the Lord has actually started this chapter. So if we know this chapter, right? So by knowing this chapter, by knowing this wisdom, right? He says that there are many sages who have attained the supreme perfection. Okay. So idam jnanam upashritaya mama sadharmyayam agata sarge api nopajayante pralayana vyatanti cha. So he says that by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attend to the transcendental nature, which is like my own nature. Thus, establish one is not born at the time of creation, not disturbed at the time of dissolution. So the Lord says that if you are fixed in this knowledge, okay, so you will get godly qualities. Okay. And then we know that the planetary systems, isn't it? So basically, the whole planetary system is in the form of a sphere, right? And then that is cut into three pieces, isn't it? So the upper, middle, and lower. The lower planetary system is called what? Patal Lok, isn't it? Mid section is called Bhuar Lok, right? And the upper part is called Swar Lok, right? And then we are at the seventh. Okay, after of the 14th, we are at the seventh, which is nothing but the earth, right? And then say, and the upper planetary system, we know that Brahmaloka, then we have Goloka, Swaraloka. So there are different types of lokas, right? So what happens is the kind of qualities you have as we go up, right? The qualities increases. As we go down, the quality decreases. Okay, and then the top three, isn't it? So they'll not get devastated. Okay, so at the time of devastation, right? So the lower ones will actually get devastated. Okay. So whenever this Brahma does the creation, right? So every day he does the creation, and then he brings back the life, isn't it? So at that time, so all these upper planetary systems are not impacted. So he says that you'll get into those knowledge, right? So he says that you'll never lose the identity. Okay. So basically, what will happen is we will actually get out of this. cycle of birth and death, right? And then we will see also, so what happens, what kind of destination will each of them will get, so depending upon the modes which we are situated in. Okay. So basically, right, in this material, whatever knowledge we get, right? So the material knowledge, whichever we get, right, it's all contaminated with either of one of the modes. Okay. So that's material nature. Okay. So anything which is not contaminated with this material nature, okay. So that is called transcendental knowledge. Okay. So, and few of them think that so the all the varieties, isn't it? So all the varieties are there in this material world only, right? But that's not the thing. The actual varieties in the upper planetary system only. Say we have seen, we have heard so many verses, right? So wherein it's been said, right? So take the example of 8th chapter. So what it says, when we go to the higher planetary systems, you'll actually enjoy for more years, isn't it? And then you'll enjoy for so much rest and all, and then once your pious credits are over, again you'll have to land up onto the earth, isn't it? So even the description of heaven and all these things are very beautifully given in Bhagavatam. Okay, if you read Bhagavatam, right, all the descriptions are there. Okay, so and in the next chapter we'll get to know that whatever we are seeing, right, so this is just a reflection, a perverted view. Okay, the actual stuff is in the upper planetary system, and then in the Golok Dham, and then we are just enjoying it, a replica of it. So we are like the shadow, okay, and the original thing is there. Okay. So in 1 and 2, right? So this understanding this chapter will help one to attain liberation and transcendental nature like Krishna, knowing which all the sages have attained this supreme perfection. So this is what in this verse, right? So the Lord actually starts with the glorification. Okay. Yeah. So this is introduction and glorification. So say if you look in this, right? So in chapter 7 to 12, so this is what Bhakti Yoga, right? Krishna reveals in details about himself as the ultimate, isn't it? The absolute truth. So how to understand chapter 1 through the process of philosophical speculation. So what is the result of learning? You'll get free from the material entanglement, and one becomes to an understanding of devotional service. Why this knowledge is proclaimed superior to all? Okay, because understanding the conditions of the three modes is a powerful tool to assist one on the path of self-realization. Okay, if we understand these things, right, so it will lead us to the path of self-realization, because there are so many things we don't know, isn't it? Nobody taught us, or the kind of education which we got, right? So nobody stressed these things. So it is that people are people are willing to do it, but the problem is most of them don't know. So what is right, what is wrong, right? So whichever they see in the television or whichever they hear from their friends and all, right? So and the society, basically community, and then the schools and all, right? So they don't teach all these things, isn't it? So we think in a different way, isn't it? So outside world, so this knowledge we don't get. So what are modes, and then why we are dancing on the modes, right? By this knowledge, many sages attain perfection and transfer to the spiritual world. One can attain a transcendental nature like Krishna and thus attain liberation. Okay, so this is we discussed. Huh? The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate make possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Okay. Say, the Lord is saying here, the total material substance, so the one which we saw in, isn't it? So it is like the 24, the combination of material elements, right? So we saw those in the previous chapter, we saw, isn't it? So, the 24 elements we have gone through, isn't it? So the Lord says that the total substance is called Brahman in this particular verse. What is Brahman? Is that, okay? Is the source of birth. Okay. And it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living. Okay. So here the Lord, so the material energy. So we did see in the previous verse, isn't it? So this is how the creation happened, right? So this was the lotus flower which comes out of the Mahavishnu, isn't it? So Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and then Brahma is actually praying in. Okay, so but this is different. So we'll actually, if you look in this picture, right? So if you recollect this, it is there in our Golaka chart also. The Lord actually glances onto the material energy, right? So then he
Prabhuji,
gives the
one question, Prabhuji. Brahman is also referred to Krishna ji, or is it only referred to material substance?
Brahman basically is the effulgence, Mataji. So
Okay.
when we talk about Brahman and then Paramatma and Bhagwan, these are the three stages. Okay. So
Mhm.
most of the time, the uh, Mayavadis, right? So they would like to focus on light and all, isn't it? So their ultimate goal is that they want to go into Nirakar, right?
Mhm.
They just want to go and then uh, sit in the light of the God. So they just want to merge with the light of the God. Okay,
Yes, Prabhuji.
which
So
is
how is
nothing.
it related
Uh,
here? And,
no,
it
no,
says,
this is not related. So here, that's the reason, right? So it has been said that the total material substance is called Brahman. So the same word is having different meanings when it is being used in different verses, Mataji. So
okay.
in this scenario, it is the total substance. Okay,
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Yes, it's clear. Thank you.
the total substance of the material cause is called. Sometimes it's called as Brahman. Okay,
Correct.
so in here, if you see, right, we all will, if we look in, right, so we all think that um, say the living entities come from the Prakriti, right? So from the material nature, right? But there is someone who gives the seed. So the seed giving person is the Lord. Okay. So in the olden days, right? So Prabhupada gives an example in this perspective. So in the olden days, so when so now these things you may have found in few of the villages. So what happens is when they harvest, right? So all the grains they store it in a small room, right? So in their house, so whatever they produce, right? So they keep it for the year. So if there is something surplus, right? They pass it on for they actually sell it, and then so whatever is required for them for this say current running thing, right? So until the next crop comes in, so they actually store their harvest, the grains. Okay, and then so after some months, right, you'll see that there'll be some small scorpions actually coming out of the rice. But when you actually store the grains, isn't it, the rice, at that time you'll not find them. But eventually, after few months, right, you'll be seeing that there'll be small scorpions coming in. Okay, so that doesn't mean that the rice has actually produced the scorpion, right? So that was, so when the field, so the mother scorpion had laid the eggs, and then that got fructified, and then it has come out, right? Similarly, so we may feel that as the living entities we have come from the material nature, but at the back end, the seed giving father is Lord. Okay. So this we'll get to know in the next verse. Yeah. You see? Sarvayoneshu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavanti Yaha Tasham Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. So he says, I am the seed giver. Okay. So that's what I was explaining now. So he says Sarvayoneshu is nothing but all species. Okay. For the all species, I am Bija Prata. So Aham means I, right? So I am the seed giving father, right? So this verse actually gives us the clear explanation that the original father of all living entity is Lord Krishna, right? So the living entities are nothing but a combination of material nature and spiritual nature. Okay. So these things are being seen in every planet. So it is not specific to our planet only. Okay. So in this case, right, mother, see the nature, right? So the Prakriti is called as the mother, and the father is Lord Krishna. Okay. Understood? It is to be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father. Okay. So, with this, whatever we have read, right? So, the evolution from a monkey and then Darwin's theory and all, right? So, we all can actually correlate now, right? So, Shastra says something different, right? You see? So, this is how the soul comes into the material nature world and is placed with the three modes of material nature. Material nature is the mother supplying living entity with the body. The Lord puts him there by his potent glance. Okay, he just looks at and he impregnates the material nature with the seeds. Okay, so now we'll get into the three modes. Okay, so until now this was the introduction. So now we'll actually go through the Sattvam Rajastama iti Guna Prakriti Sambhavaha Nibadanti Mahabhavo Deha Dehinam Avyayam. So now he is introducing Sattvam Rajas Tama. Okay. Sattvam is what? Mode of goodness, right? And then Rajas, right? So Rajas is what? Mode of passion. Tama means it is mode of ignorance. Okay. He says that material nature consists of three modes, right? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Okay. Basically, we are actually part and parcel of the Lord, right? So our soul is eternal. Okay. But say when we come into the contact, when we are born, right? So and then when we actually are lured with this material nature, right? So we actually become conditioned. Okay. And then say we act under one of the three material modes. Okay. And depending upon the qualities or the last um, janmas, vasanas, and the desires which we have in, right? So we will get different bodies. Okay, so we are categorized, we are fit into different species, right? And then so and then whatever species you get, right? So you'll have to go through those species, and then whatever it is, good, bad, everything, you'll have to face it. Yeah. You see, the eternal living entity comes in contact with material nature and becomes conditioned by it, despite the desire for independent enjoyment. So that's the thing. So we are in this prison world, okay? And then here we are doing all sense gratification. You see, somebody is doing something, right? So, but we'll have to get out of this prison, okay? So the fault which causes the soul's conditioned state certainly rests in his own independent desire. Okay, so nobody is doing this to us. Okay, if we'll have to blame, then it is we desired. Okay, so once this question was asked to Prabhupada, saying that one of the devotee asked, say, why did we come to this planet? So we were eternal, and then why did we come to this planet? Then Prabhupada said that you chose, right? So the answer is correct. So he said, we have chosen it. So we wanted to enjoy. So that's the reason we have come here, right? It is like the criminal, isn't it? So if there is a criminal, he does a crime, man. And then if he gets imprisonment, the judge actually gives him, say, like life. He says that hang him to death, or he says lifetime imprisonment, right? So, is this the problem of the judge? No, isn't it? The judge actually passed the rule. So, whatever I desired, right, as a criminal, so whatever things I did it, for that the judge just gave a judgment. So, that's the thing. So, I desire, right? Similarly, the car, right? So, we go in a car, isn't it? So, our destination is to reach from A to B using the car. Okay. So, you know that the road which you are going through, right? It has got blind curves, right? And then, so, and it is not a plain road, right? Knowing that, say, if you rush and then you drive, right? So you drive as in 130, 140 speed, and then surely you'll not reach to the B. You'll reach somewhere in between. In a ditch, you'll be there, right? So that's the thing. Okay. These are all the things, yeah. So why the transcendental living entity suffers, differentiates bodies and different activities under the different modes is the cause of all variety and distress. Okay. So these are the three modes. Okay. Mode of goodness, ignorance, and passion. So a conditioned living entity is forced to act according to this modes. So this is the living entity which is actually eternal, right? The soul. So eternal living soul, when it comes in touch with, which is actually Sachitananda, but when it comes in contact with material nature, it actually moves here only. So it doesn't come out. Okay. Oh sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating. Okay. And it frees one from all sinful reaction. Those situated in that mode develop knowledge, but they become conditioned by the concept of happiness. Okay. So one of the three, right? So goodness, passion, and ignorance, isn't it? So sattvam, the mode of goodness is good because one is very happy, right? So and is very active. Okay, because he doesn't do wrong things, right? So he doesn't have much material. So he does everything good. Okay, so he doesn't think of ill of others and all those things, right? So the problem is that um, what happens is because he's in mode of goodness, right? He has good earnings, he has good family to live with, he does some charity, right? He doesn't do any wrong things, he doesn't actually overeat or over endeavor, everything. So everything is balanced in his life. He feels that, okay, I'm good. Okay. So, but the problem is in the once they think that I'm good, they'll never have the inclination. So unless they have the inclination, right? Though they don't have this material measures, but they'll not advance in material. So they'll not actually advance in the spiritual thing, right? So because they'll get complacent saying that I'm not done anything wrong, so why do I need, so I need not fear, right? So I have done good, so everything will happen good to me, right? So they actually feel that they are better than others, right? So basically the scientists and philosophers, the example is that, so they are basically, they are well to do, isn't it? Say in the society also, say they get every respect and everything, and say they have their attraction towards the work, right? So that's also a problem. So that is also conditioning, because they feel that they are superior to others, and then they don't want to advance actually. Okay, so for them also, right, the liberation is, there is no likelihood of liberation for them also to getting to the spiritual world. But if they develop the spiritual knowledge, right, so then they'll actually go one step higher, so which is easy for them. Okay, so that knowledge has to be developed. So one has to actually put efforts to get into the mode of goodness, and then from there, if he takes the spiritual knowledge, right, he can get easily liberated. If not, right, so they'll also get entangled. And so what happens is, a scientist, so in his lifetime he'll be more attached to the scientific work which he has done, right? And the chances are that he may die in the lab itself, isn't it? And then he'll have a strong desire to actually work again as a scientist, and then actually invent or create new things, right? So this is the thing which comes with mode of goodness. Okay. Yeah, so it is goodness, happy, active, helpless, right? Brahmana represents it. So in the four varnas, right, so brahmanas represent the mode of goodness. Okay, so being purer, it is eliminating, because it's free from all sinful reaction. But what happens, proud of their knowledge, sense of advancement, happiness binds them and keeps them in repeated birth, because they are satisfied. They'll not like to put an effort. So that's the reason mode of goodness is also conditioned. Okay, so destination, no likelihood of liberation, because one is more or less free from sinful. So they'll not be doing sinful things. So this is the mode of passion, Rajaguna, is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, one is bound to the material furtive activity. So this is the class where most of us belong to. Okay. So wherein we hanker, right, for so many things, isn't it? So like if we go for shopping, we'd like to do more shopping, right? So if there is a sale, we go to buy actually one product. So now we'll see when there is sale time, right? So we'll go to shopping mall if somebody goes in, right? So his purpose or his agenda is to buy only one t-shirt. Okay, he enters because there is 50% sale. right? By the time he comes out, right, he'll be having 3, 4 bags. If he goes with family, he'll have more number of bags, isn't it? So that's the thing. Okay. And the attraction between men and women. Right? If you look, the whole culture in today's world is that only. Right? So one wants to impress the other. So all these things are nothing but passion. Okay. And then to have a bigger house, right? To actually endeavor more, right? And then to actually make efforts to increase one's possession. So all these things, and then longing for objects. So all these things are basically what will we do with these things? For sense gratification only, isn't it? So we want honor in the family, in the society, right? So for all these hankerings, we actually, what happens? To get all these things, we'll have to work hard, isn't it? So that's the thing. So in the mode of passion, right? So this is basically the modern civilization is all in mode of passion. Okay. And in this case, so if in mode of goodness only, we don't have liberation. So what is the case of mode of passion? There is no chance. Okay. So this advancement, what is advancement of modern civilization is considered to be the mode of passion. Okay. What are the products? Hankering for material enjoyment, sense gratification, wants honor in society, right? To construct a residence of sense gratification. Okay, one wants a palatial house, right? So these days, gone are the those days of 2 BHKs and 3 BHKs, isn't it? So now people want apartments of 4,000 square feet, isn't it? So the madness has grown like anything. So 4,000 SFT houses, huh? And then people, there will be only 3 or 4 people living in that house. So yeah, I think that's all mode of passion. So passion binds by the ropes of desire and attachment, characterized by strong attraction between men and women. So this is tamaguna. So by looking at this picture itself, isn't it? O son of Artha, the mode of ignorance causes the delusion of all living entities. The result of this mode is madness, in, indulgence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. So this is tamaguna. So tamaguna is what? Complete opposite of mode of goodness, right? So they do all the opposite things, right? So they don't like any development. They are inactive. They'll actually sleep for more hours, right? They'll work in the morning and then they'll sleep in the night. They work for odd times, right? Eat, and then those things will come. What kind of thing they eat, right? So they're because all they'll be intoxicated, right? So and then due to that intoxication, they try to sleep for more hours. They become lazy, right? So in the more in word of who is in Tamaguna, right? So he can sleep for 12 hours also because he feels everything is waste. He is the only hero. Okay, so in that case, what we can do? Because they are always addicted, isn't it? So what will happen? So if you go and then spend whole night boozing, and then doing all wrong things, and then you get addicted to other stuff, then obviously you'll sleep in the morning, isn't it? In second chapter also it is there. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutani, isn't it? So when the elevated soul, the liberated soul wake up, that is the time of sleeping for others. Who's that? Tamagunya people only, isn't it? So their destiny, there is no chance, 0%. At least those who are in the mode of passion, if they cultivate good qualities and then they do sadhana, they can come to goodness, right? There is a chance. But for tamaguna, it is very difficult unless there are exceptions. But yes, so it's not that it's not possible, but it's very difficult. Okay. So these are all things we saw in. Okay. So the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions him to the fruits of action, and ignorance to madness. You see in this picture, right? So basically, I need kingdom, I need woman, I need money, right? So all these sense gratificatory things are passion, right? So mode of goodness is, so he's not looking into these things, right? So he's much elevated. So, and then if you see at the ignorance, so it's all meat eating, right? So whatnot, the ones which we spoke in, right? So these are basically, we just got the introduction of the three gunas. Okay, so which guna sits where? Okay, and then we'll go to the next section now, which is known as the recognizing the supremacy of a mode within a person. Okay, so sometimes the mode of passion becomes prominent, defeating the mode of goodness. O son of Bharata. And sometimes the mode of goodness defeats the passion, and at other times the mode of ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. So this is in a day, if you look in our day also, right? So we also get tangled. So we also move into different gunas. Okay. At times we are in the mode of goodness, at times we are in the mode of uh, Rajaguna, at times we are in the mode of Tamaguna also. So it depends upon the situation, we enter into different things. Okay. At times one is prominent while the other is not. So for an example, right, in a day, in the morning time, so when you do your sadhana or when you are doing chanting, at that time you are in the mode of goodness. Okay. So usually the Brahma Muhurta time is all mode of goodness, right? So you try to be very good, right? So you chant nicely, you do arti, you do all sevas, right? And then what happens? Slowly we start going to the offices. Then our Rajaguna comes in, isn't it? So there we actually do all the Rajaguna stuff, isn't it? So, and then at times after returning or somewhere, right? So even if things, if the day didn't go well, then we'll actually start screaming on others. So with their no fault also. By wrong assumptions, delusion and all, isn't it? If we get angry, then it's gone. That's Tamaguna. So we are actually in this. So sometimes the quantity is more, sometimes the quantity is less. Yes, probably most majority of our time, say like 70% or 60%, you can say we are in Rajaguna. 20 to 30% or it varies. In 20% maybe goodness, and then 10% maybe Tamaguna. But yes, we all have these things, isn't it? See, modes are not constant in their influence upon the living entity. According to our karma, our work, our association, our choice of food, and so on, a particular mode becomes predominant. Okay, within us. Depending upon these things, these are the factors, right? Why do living entity need to transcend these modes? If one is actually intend on advancing in Krishna consciousness, one has to transcend this modes. Okay, and then what is that mode? Okay, even mode of goodness is not good. So we'll have to go to Suddha Sattva, or it's called as Vasudeva state. Okay. So that's the next level, the liberated stuff. Okay. The manifestations of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. So how will you know whether I'm in mode of goodness, right? Basically, what does this mean? So, mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are eliminated. So, we actually went through this in previous chapters that we have got 9 gates, isn't it? So, it was, I believe, in chapter 6, right? So, in Ashtanga Yoga, only I think we went in, wherein we saw that the 9 gates of the body are 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, genitals, and rectum, right? So when it is goodness, right? So everything is in the right position, okay? And then it's clean actually. If it is light emanating in the sense, it is clear, okay? So, but what we'll see in the next verses, what will happen, okay? In Rajaguna and Tamaguna. So like the food also. So I'll take the example of the food, okay? So if we are eating sattvic ahar, right? So everything is clear, isn't it? So the food goes in and the food comes out. So there is no problem. So if you eat pungent thing, you eat hot, spicy, passionate food. So what will happen? Intake is also difficult and then the outcome is also difficult, isn't it? That's the thing. O chief of Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, uncontrollable desire, hankering, and intense endeavor develops. So all these things will happen, you see. So one is actually hankering for wealth, isn't it? So one is actually attracted to the others, others sex, isn't it? So all these things will happen. Yeah. So in the mode of passion, so all these things will come. We actually went through these things, isn't it? This is mode of ignorance. So this, O son of Kunti, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, madness, illusion, inertia, and darkness are manifested. So this, you see, is a drug addict, isn't it? So all these things. So this is very dangerous. Yeah. So they don't follow any of the regs, right? So there is no illumination. Where will the illumination come in? Because they always like to do in dark only all the things, right? And then they live in an illusion because they are always addicted to something, isn't it? So addiction is again a bigger problem, right? Could be anything. So if he's a drug addict, so that's a problem. Even the online gamings these days, you see, the younger generation, I think we had so many gaming issues also, isn't it? So in the recent past years, there were games. So the kids were so attracted to those games, right? So PUBG and all. So they used to play for 8-10 hours in a day, isn't it? And then so there were some, I don't know, so what the game says inside. At the end, there are a lot of suicides also happening, isn't it, for the game? So this is all what? Ignorance, isn't it? Because they were illusioned. So they were illusioned with this piece of software, which is of no use, isn't it? But they think that that is the world. Symptoms of 3 modes manifested externally. Okay. So this eliminates, right? Goodness will eliminate. So this is great attachment, furtive activities, delusion, right? So illusion, even though he has the capacity to work, he does not endeavor. Okay. So someone is capable to go and work, so he'll not do that. Say rather he'll beg and then he'll go and then he'll get that money and then he'll drink and then sleep on the pathways. Right. Even we'll see that thing also, that if we'll have to give charity, we'll have to give charity to an appropriate person at the appropriate place and time. Right. What is the use of you giving a charity by looking at the beggar whose clothes are torn? Right? You give him 50 rupees. The moment you give him, so he goes to a liquor shop and then drinks it, and then he'll sleep flat. Does that help anyone? No. That's the reason, right? Why knowledge is important, right? So most of the time this question arises, isn't it? So there are so many people who are actually sleeping, who are not having food, and then we are trying to big temples. The reason is this. So if you feed them, right, the problem is not going to solve. So will he? So that thing will not stop. So unless that knowledge comes into a person, right? So cultivating the knowledge is very important, right? So if he's a thief and then daily you feed him, so will he stop actually uh, doing his profession? If he's a thief, then he'll actually come. You only feed him. Okay, he's a thief. You only feed him. You don't give any knowledge. Okay, what will he do? He'll simply come in the morning. He'll eat in the night. He'll go and then he'll do all the robbery, isn't it? And then one day it will come that he'll even actually, if he's not getting anything to steal, he'll steal your own house items. That's the thing, right? So knowledge has to be given. And then if you see, so this passion also, right? At times it becomes too much. Um, even the parents, right? These days, if you see, they get mad on the kids, isn't it? So they push for IITs and NEET and all. See, these are not bad actually, but the problem is we'll have to see the caliber, isn't it? So it is like the cars, isn't it? So there is a Maruti car, there is a Ferrari, there is a Luna, isn't it? So, and then we say that all of them has to go on that fast track F1 race, isn't it? And then we say that everyone has to win the F1 race. Will it be possible? Ferrari will actually go somewhere. Maruti will be in between. Luna, where will it be? It's the same way, actually. Yeah. So everyone has got something we can nurture, but it shouldn't be that we actually put force, right? So we shouldn't do that. So brutal. There are parents who ideally go mad on. They will not allow kids to even take fresh air outside, right? So all those things. So if the kid really has caliber, then we should actually support him wholeheartedly, right? So in those cases we shouldn't. But if someone is not, and we should not actually put so much pressure, yeah. So when one dies in mode of goodness, right, he attends the pure higher planets of the great sages. Okay. So when he is actually he'll go to the higher planets, we know, isn't it? So one who has done all pious and then who's pure, right? So he'll go to the higher planets. Okay. So what will happen to the people? One who dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in furtive activities, and when he dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. So it can happen anything. Okay. So if you see these all things, right? So what happens if being in this animal life, right? So if we are doing all, so doing in this, sorry, not animal life, being in this mode of passion. Here in this picture, you see someone is eating meat, isn't it? So he'll be given a body of a tiger, so where he can only eat meat in his whole lifetime, right? You see, he is also ready to eat any nasty things. Okay, so and then he's doing wrong things, so he'll get a body of hog. So here, if you see, so one who is not dressed properly, isn't it? So for him, what is the thing? In his next life, he'll get a form of a tree. where you'll be exposed all throughout your life. Okay. So one is fond of sleeping for hours, right? So he'll get an body of polar bear where he can actually sleep all for 6 months, right? So the three modes of material nature, right? So death is different. So goodness is always purest, right? So he'll attain higher planets. Passion takes birth among those engaged in furtive activities, right? So it depends. So even if we actually transient, right? So now if we actually transit ourselves, we can go to the mode of goodness, right? Ignorance, there is no choice. So anyhow, will go to the lower birth. Okay. They'll go to the blackest, darkest planets. Yeah. By acting in the mode of goodness, one becomes purified. Works done in the mode of passion results in distress, and actions performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So these are the things. Okay. So, and those who are in the mode of goodness, isn't it? So they are very pious, and then they are free from illusion, right? Passion results in miseries, isn't it? So, for example, so the construction work and all which goes in, isn't it? So it takes so much of labor, isn't it? So much of money has to be invested, right? So for that, you'll have to do so much of work, right? So nothing is going to come easily, right? You'll have to endeavor labor. You'll have to buy metals, you'll have to go for the raw materials, you'll have to negotiate, for that you'll have to talk to different bankers, you'll have to get loans, you'll get government sanctions and all these things, isn't it? It's so many painful things. And results in foolishness, activities is performed without knowledge. Okay. So killing of animals, especially in this verse, isn't it? So actually, Prabhupada actually writes a very good purport. Okay, so we'll see this in the. Let me actually bring that purport here. Yeah. So in this purport, right? If you look, so the mode of ignorance, right? So he says that the animal killing, right? So if you see, right, indulgence in animal killing for the taste of tongue is the greatest kind of ignorance. Okay. And then he says, what is the law also, isn't it? You do you know? So in human society, okay, if in human society one kills a man, he has to be hanged. Okay, that is the law of the state. Okay, so basically, if somebody kills a human being, so that's the law of the government. But of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by the Supreme Lord. Okay, so there is another rule. Okay, so this is the which people do not know. Okay, which is controlled by the Supreme Lord. Every living creature is son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even an ant being killed. So one has to pay for it. Okay, so indulgence in animal killing for the taste of tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things. Okay, and then what happens? You see, if one indulges in meat eating and is and anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future very dark. Okay, and then you'll see one place he'll say that is miserable. Bhagavad is definitely actually there'll be one place without the knowledge of animal life is always miserable. Okay. As far as ignorance, the performer is without knowledge, and therefore all his activities result in present miseries, and afterwards he'll go on towards the animal life. Okay. And then basically in one place he'll write that, so if you are killing the animal today, right, so in the next life you will be the animal and the other person, you will be killed by the animal. Okay. So if you are killing the animal now, right, so in the next turn is yours, you will be killed by the animal. So in any of the form which you'll take in the next birth. So if he's taking a human form, then you will become that goat or whatever it is. Okay, so that is also being said. And then basically uh, these things are from the Puranas. Okay, so this is from Vedic literature. Okay, so there are prayers. Okay, so this prayer actually we pray every day, is it? So in our Bhoga offering, we actually pray this. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Nama. Okay. So basically, if you read the Bhagavatam also, right? So for the society, right, the Brahmanas and the cows are actually well-wishers of the entire society and the world. Okay. There is this purpose. So this is from Vishnu Purana. Okay. Vishnu Purana 1.9.19.65. The purpose is that special mention is given to the prayers of the protection of cows and Brahmanas. Right? Because Brahmanas earlier, say in the previous yugas, right? So Brahmanas were the symbol of spiritual education. So they were highest. Okay. So, but they were never hankering for anything. So the Brahmanas used to live in a simple hut. Okay. And then so they were giving the spiritual knowledge. They'll go and advise the king also. Okay. So that was the status. And then they were the ones who used to give education free to the society. Okay. And the cows. So the cows are the ones, isn't it? So the milk of the cow, we know, right? So how important it is, right? So at times the small babies are also fed with it, isn't it? And name one thing of cow which is useless. The cow's urine, dung, everything is precious, isn't it? So we should actually take care of these things. If we take care in any society, if we take care of brahmanas and cows, right? So that society will live better. So that's the actual civilization. Okay. So that was done in the regime of Yudhishthir Maharaj. That was done in the regime of Parikshit Maharaj and all. Yeah. So Hare Krishna. Matajis will end here because we have already crossed 5 minutes extra. Anything you'd like to ask, you can ask. We'll take up one question. If not, we'll continue tomorrow.
No, Prabhuji, I have no question.
Okay. Thank you, Matajis. Thank you for your association. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhu bhyeva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavya namo namo. Hare Krishna.